Please remain standing for the alma mater. You may be seated. Good morning, everyone. Today is Friday, February 20th, a B day on your schedule. A B day on your schedule. And today for lunch is pizza. There's a Chinese club meeting in the Learning Lab, an environmental club meeting in the gallery, a Morgan's Message Club meeting in the chapel, and just a reminder that the Know Your Rights training is today, so our lunch is longer than usual, and make sure to check the portal for the special schedule. That's all I have, and now I'd like to invite up Ella for her senior speech.
My first years at SEM were definitely rocky. My record could tell you enough about it, as I had C's in all my classes, 2 visits to the honor board, and a suspension. If you've never been to Community Honor Board, you aren't missing out. I've gone both my freshman and sophomore years, and it's definitely not something I recommend. It's very awkward. You have to be confronted by not only multiple teachers, but also students, and for the most part, you're the one doing all the talking. As much as I hated it and avoided ever going there again, I don't regret the times I did go. Before I came to SEM, I'd already established my reputation as a delinquent. I didn't plan on using this new environment to my advantage. I became very comfortable with receiving negative attention as it entertained the people around me. Maybe not so much my teachers, but I didn't care about them. I was more interested in finding new ways to get in trouble and acquiring some elaborate story to tell my friends. And I did that for most of my freshman year, which ultimately led to my first visit to the honor board. For context, I had been sent there for editing students on CapCut, and I assume none of the teachers know what that means, as I already had the painful experience of trying to describe it to the adults on the honor board. But what started out as a joke to my friends got out, and even though I did receive multiple warnings, that didn't stop me. I had prepared to zone out while everyone on the honor board lectured me on how what I did was wrong, because obviously I knew it was wrong, I just didn't care. Instead, they wanted me to tell them why I did it, which was uncomfortable to say. After the first edit got out, I had people, especially upperclassmen, come to me with edit requests and sometimes money. So I did what I always did, and I valued that attention over any consequence that would follow it. And explaining to a bunch of people I don't know how I was a little loser freshman who was so eager for people to like her at the time felt humiliating, and the only reason I did admit this to them was that nobody had ever asked me why. Allowing me the opportunity to be vulnerable and honest made me realize nobody here wanted to view me as a bad kid. That subconscious feeling of support had me leaving the meeting with a less defensive attitude against those around me, allowing myself to try being something other than a problem. That was how I ended my freshman year, and in a perfect world, that would be the last time I ever got in trouble, but it wasn't. While I had now stopped purposely trying to get in trouble, I still had never learned how to avoid making real mistakes. My sophomore year started all right. I was no longer filling the role of the fool, but instead just allowed myself to be, which came with its own issues. For example, while I was no longer purposely trying to be disruptive, I was, by default, a little chatty. While I worked on this issue by trying to stop distracting others during class, the impulsive nature behind my actions led to my second Community Honor Board visit. While it wasn't my first time going in the past, I knew what I was doing was wrong, and getting in trouble was always expected, but this time it was different. I was in trouble for something I had said online about someone connected to the school. I was angry and impulsively felt the need to share my anger on my Instagram close friends story, which is stupid. But in the moment, I truly saw nothing wrong with it. I felt betrayed by myself because how did I not notice that this was wrong? And could I even trust myself to stay out of trouble moving forward? I've been doing all this work, but it feels so pointless when I just end up back at the honor board. And to make matters worse, I ended up getting suspended. I've been suspended many times at my old school, and it really isn't that awful of a punishment, as you get a free day off. But it meant something morally now. I was trying to be better, and I didn't want to be the same person I came here as, but my record showed me falling into those patterns. This guilt and shame sat with me until I met with Miss Marlette, the old head of school, to discuss my suspension. It was so long ago that I don't actually remember much from the conversation, but what did stick with me was that she said, "I don't think you're a bad kid, you just made a mistake." That meant a lot because I had never separated myself from my mistakes. For a good chunk of my life, I was seen as my mistakes, and through that, I was never given the space to change. That's why I've chosen to stand up here in front of everyone and confess all this. Although what I've done is embarrassing, it's no longer a reflection of who I am, but instead how far I've come. Mistakes are inevitable. We all make them. I've learned more through my mistakes than I have through my achievements. For a while, I lost hope in the idea of redemption, thinking one becomes unworthy of it at a certain point. I'm grateful for the teachers at SEM who saw my potential and gave me the space to grow, rather than confining me to my reputation. That slight support expanded the perception I had, and I was able to realize I didn't have to be defined as one thing forever. Today, people's first impression of me is definitely very different from a few years ago, and as I move on in life, what I did in my freshman and sophomore years will be completely irrelevant, but instead something that only I remember. Who I am today and all the achievements I hope to gain in the future are only possible because of those years I spent channeling my mistakes into even greater growth. Thank you.
Thank you, Ella. Congratulations. Are there any faculty announcements?
Good morning. I have two unrelated announcements this morning. One, as Hazel just reminded you and Mrs. Silverstein said yesterday, we're very fortunate to have Anna Porter from the New York Immigration Coalition coming in today to talk to us all about what we need to know about ICE, Know Your Rights. This should be helpful for us all, even though it is optional for everybody. We've allowed time for you to get lunch and bring it to the study hall so that she'll have a full hour of a conversation with you all today. Second announcement. This weekend, activity for all students are invited to come make crafts on Sunday afternoon from 2 to 4 in the gallery. I take no credit for this, but my partner, Beth Onifrey, Assistant Director of Admission and your SIMACORD advisor, is very crafty. I am not. She's got some supplies to help you all make really cool greeting cards and jewelry. You could have birthday cards for the next year ready-made if you came to this. So 2 to 4 in the gallery this weekend. Happy Friday.
Any other faculty announcements? Student announcements?
Okay, this is mainly for the junior class, but next week, Thursday, if you want a class ring, there's going to be selection and sizing in the atrium from 11 to 12:45, I believe. So if you want a class ring, go down to the atrium, and if you have any questions, you can email Ms. Moden. Thank you.
Chinese club is canceled today.
Any other announcements?